Rev up your engines!
Just why says, do you like the 1999 NSX? Oh yeah, they're cool vehicles, you know. Super expensive now. The new ones are getting into the supercar situations. The 99s were great cars. That was, you know, it's Acura, but it's Honda owns the company. It's Honda. And Honda's always been an excellent engine company, and they put all their high-tech stuff in those cars. Now, that isn't the car that you buy and drive every day. It's a high-tech car. Parts cost a lot of money, but they are fun cars to drive. They're real screamers, and like I say, the newer ones, they're kind of getting in the supercar formulations, and their price is well over 100 grand. They're getting to be supercar prices too, so they're not what the old ones used to be. The price of those older ones is starting to rise and rise from what I've seen, because people are realizing that they were good cars, well made, and so people are paying more for the used ones. Pete Stanhope says, there's no 5 Ranger with a 2.3 4-cylinder good truck? Thanks. If it was taken care of, yes, it could be a very good truck. The Rangers were good trucks. They're a smaller truck, but they were solid made trucks. Those are solid made 4-cylinder engines. Now with that, you really might be much better with the standard transmission, because they were much more reliable, and as they age, there's less problems to think about. The automatic transmission was the weakest point of the Ranger pickup trucks, and if that's a standard, it's a great truck. Now, if you own one or you're going to buy one, it's an automatic, have a transmission guy check it out before you buy it, because if the tranny's going out, don't buy it. Or if you really wanted to get one and keep it forever, swap it out, put a standard transmission in instead of the automatic, and then it could last forever. Quincy S. says, Scotty, what's the best vehicle to use when moving? Truck, van, or SUV? Well, it depends where you're moving and when you're moving. Of course, the van is the best all around because it's enclosed. If it's raining or snowing, all your crap isn't going to get wet. You know, my thing about moving is, the best thing is just rent one. Rent a big truck and get a diesel. Pay the extra for the diesel, because the diesels get better gas mileage. I rented one once, a U-Haul, and I made a mistake. I was a dumb kid, and I rented a gasoline one, and that thing got 3 miles a gallon, where the equivalent diesel would get about 10. So you're going to use a lot less fuel. If you go in any distance, any kind of truck or van, get a diesel. Don't get a gasoline, because the diesels use a lot less fuel than gasoline when they're pulling heavy weights. TK Moreski says, how exactly does a CVT transmission work? Well, they're constantly variable. So what it is some have drums and chains, some have belts, but what it does is it keeps the engine for each speed going at just the right RPM to have the maximum amount of power and fuel economy at the same time. So you don't have gears that are always shifting. If you got a gear, it'll go a certain speed in the gear, then it's going, RPMs are too high, and it's got to shift on, goes to the next gear. So to get really good gas mileage and power, you need a lot of gears. That's why Ford's got that 10 speed in the new Mustang. But the CVT transmissions, they are always at the best range the way that they're designed. They don't have the power. You often lose a reasonable amount of power. They don't have as much acceleration, but they do get better gas mileage without having to have all these gears inside. So of course they are also cheaper to manufacture, which is one of the big reasons that they use them in a lot of vehicles. They're cheaper to make. So if they're cheaper to make and they get better gas mileage, guess what they're going to use? CVT transmissions. Raghav Sharma says, how important is it to get the EGR valve cleaned? I had to check engine light on because of that, or the funds to get it fixed. It's not that hard to clean it. I mean, there's 2 bolts holding them on. Take them off, and a lot of times you'll see there's a bunch of carbon inside, and you can clean it out and do it yourself. If it's clogged behind the valve going into the intake, you can do what I've done. I even have a video on it. You can get an old speedometer cable and get a grinder, and you can sharpen one end, put the other end in a drill, feed it through the hole, and then run the drill, and that's just like reaming crud out of your sewer system. It'll ream the carbon out, and then it will suck the air again. It's the easy way to do it, rather than tearing the whole intake manifold out that costs a fortune. You can easily do that stuff yourself if you want to. Now, if your car runs okay, and it's got that light for the EGR, it generally isn't going to really hurt anything. But if it's stuck open, a lot of times then it's wide open, and it'll run bad because it's sucking too much air when it's idling, in which case you want to fix it right away. You don't want to leave that. But if it's running okay, I've had people leave them for years that way, especially in places where they don't do emissions testing when they inspect cars. General Joe says, why does my F-150 2012 keep blowing the AC fan resistor? All right, if it keeps blowing the AC fan resistor, then either your blower motor is going out, it's straining it too much, overheats it, and it melts, or you got a problem in the wiring system. It could be either way. If the wires are either corroded and they're touching something, or all the connectors in the system where they snap in, take them all apart and look. If they're green and corroded, that means that they're going to get hot because the corrosion takes more power, it overheats them, and then it can burn out that stupid little resistor assembly. So you want to check all that. Most of the time, if the wires look good, it's that the motor's going out, and it'll keep going to resistor because it's draining it too much by draining too much power out of it. But do check all those connectors too, especially if you had a leaky windshield and water leaked inside. Timothy Horeen says, ATP 205 used for rubber wiper blades? Yes, it's a very good use for it. Rubber wiper blades, the rubber is relatively soft, and it'll get eaten up by all the corrosion in our polluted atmosphere and dirt and rocks and everything. That is a good way to rejuvenate the rubber. You'd put it on paper towel like those blue ones I use that are soft enough and wipe it a bunch of times, and you'll see it'll get black. Just keep doing it until it doesn't get black anymore, and that actually does make them last as long as possible. It's a good system. The AT205 is great for rejuvenating any kind of rubber, and they're made out of rubber, and it rejuvenates them. It's a very good idea to do that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.